right, let's see. This is 355, right?
356, I think.
56.
I definitely call it 355 at the top, so we should. I guess, do we really care? You want me to re-record an intro?
I can put my voice in it and when you go 350 and I go 6.
I like it. Do that. Episode 356 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 27th, 2021. I'm not saying it's aliens. This week, we're not saying that it's aliens, but it might be aliens. It's definitely aliens on Apple Plus's Invasion, Netflix's Inside Job, and HBO Max's Young Justice. It's gods and magicians and warriors on Maya and the Three on Netflix. And as for I Know What You Did Last Summer on Prime, well, that could probably have used some aliens. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Moonslut Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Moonslut Nick.
You see, you put moon just in a word basically anywhere.
Oh, I see.
That's your stupid moon puns.
There's the intricacies of the moon language. Unimermal, what was it? Moonular health care or something. Universal moon care.
Universal moon care.
Mooniversal healthcare.
Mooniversal, that's what it was.
I gotta say, guys, I was surprised how much of this week's viewing was animated.
Yeah.
There was a lot of animated stuff.
Wait a minute, shouldn't have been Lunarversal? Nah, they messed that one up.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid moon sluts.
Moonatics.
Wow, we get to use that word, Randy. That is not your word.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry.
Unbelievable.
All right, well, before I indulge in any more moon slurs,
What a moron.
let's talk about our TV diaries for the week.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the
I will go first because I did not have a
Cocaine
ton of TV time this week. I watched all the homework. I watched 3 more episodes of Top Chef Family Style, which I am truly addicted to. I don't know what it is. It's very wholesome. It's very cute, and I like it a lot. Also, watching these kids cook at a level that I can only imagine, and I'm 40 years older than them, is crazy. I watched a cute little one-shot called Blush on, I think it's Apple Plus. It's a little animated short about an astronaut who crashes into a planet and winds up there with an alien, and it's very sweet. I definitely recommend it. And then I kept up with What We Do in the Shadows, which had Nandor deciding he was going to go into the all sleep, and then had fucking Donald Logue playing himself as a vampire in a deep cut reference to Blade.
Yes.
That just delighted me to no end.
It was so good and just got better and better the more that the vampires thought he was the character from Blade.
Yep.
And he was like, no, funny story. I actually wasn't a vampire when I made that, but I got real into the lifestyle.
So good. I also, since I've interviewed Donald Logue, I feel like I'm now 1 degree closer of separation to all of the What We Do in the Shadows cast, so I'm pretty happy about that. I watched Dune, which, despite having zero affection for books previous, I don't really know the property that well. I really enjoyed. I was very pleased with it. In fact, I'm going to go see it with Megan in the theater later this week because she wanted to see it, and I kind of want to see it on the big screen.
Yes! Finally, me and Randy disagree on something.
This is what you've been waiting for?
Yes. I mean, it could be better disagreement. It's not going to be the British thing we've yelled at each other about, but...
Well, on the British thing, you always have Kyle for backup,
Mm-hmm.
Or I do, depending on which one of us is pro-British and which one of us is anti-British. Because Kyle is always pro-British.
Yeah.
And then I watched 2 more episodes of Doom Patrol, which that show is fucking weird and just going all in on the weirdness. Every time I think, oh, this is weird, then the Sisters of Dada shows up and there's a weird dance sequence and there's time travel and oh man, it just gets weirder and weirder and I love it. And then I watched The Muppets, which we're going to talk about on Patreon this week. And that is all that I watched this week. Nick, what did you watch?
It was kind of a light week for me too. I watched Dune as well, and actually don't disagree with you a whole lot on it, Randy. It's just that I think it's the best version of Dune I've seen put to film, and I just don't feel like it's still very good at all. Like I feel like Dune. It's funny because it has some really cool visual storytelling, as far as some of the technology and the
Mhm.
concepts and that kept me engaged for the first hour, I want to say.
It is long. It is long. I will give you that.
And then it's an hour and a half more, and then of course it ends where it's like, oh, it doesn't have an ending. This is a pilot for a TV show.
I feel like it's got. I mean, Lord of the Rings did the same thing. Lord of the Rings basically ends on like, "Hey, you want to go fight some orcs?" And that was the ending. And like, we know there's another movie coming. In fact, we now know for sure there's another movie coming. I'm like,
sure, but isn't this supposed to take place over the ages or whatever? Like,
Yeah,
dude, I don't know. I've
I've
never
also
read Dune.
I don't think I've ever made it all the way through Return of the King. I still have yet to see all of the Lord of the Rings, and I've definitely never seen any of the Hobbits.
Spoilers: The
It's
King returns.
Yes,
it's
I've
it's
read the
pretty
books.
good.
I'm
I
good.
set aside the 72 hours to watch the director's cut.
Yeah, I mean, so like I've never seen that. I keep meaning to sit down and watch Dune, but I don't want to block off like the rest of the day. It just seems so long.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to read Dune, and I would say that Dune only works as a novel, but it doesn't work as a novel either. I think Dune is one of the worst sci-fi stories that has infected our. It's so important in sci-fi, and I think it's kind of dumb. Like spice is a metaphor for 5 different things at once, and it's an unbelievable thing to try and do in a visual medium. But you can't do Dune without it because it drives everything.
Yeah, spice is just oil cocaine, right? That's what spice is.
Yeah,
That's
if
what
it made you,
that's
but
what
if it also
made
made you trip balls.
the SD1 fold, right? Is that how Macross works?
Yes, yeah. It's oil cocaine LSD.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's also actual sand, so it's also nature and an element. I don't know. It's like, what else did I watch? I watched the Night Teeth movie on Netflix.
Oh, how was that?
I would say it would probably. I want to see what Les thinks of it. I want to see if Les finds anything to really hold on to there before I completely write it off. The concept is this guy covers for his brother on this limo driving service, and these 2 vampire chicks start to kill everybody wherever they go, and it's like this big conspiracy over the vampires taking over the LA or whatever their dominions are, or whatever the vampire community. And it kind of has this love story between the guy and one of the girl vampires, and it is such a brutal, like, abusive relationship. And I want to go like, okay, it's kind of like the same thing with Wonder Woman of like, okay, if we swapped these genders, I'm pretty sure I'd already see a bunch of think pieces online about how this relationship is not okay. But because it's the dude that is like, oh, but I can fix her. Like, it doesn't matter that she kills people. But yeah, otherwise, what else did I watch? I watched Deep Blue Sea, but I watched it with the commentary on for oneofus.net that I did way back when, because that was the one I did with Patience Robinson Campos.
Mhm.
And I have not gone back and listened to it since she passed away earlier last year, I think. And it really struck me. It's not too often you get to capture whenever you make a friend.
Yeah.
That was the night I met Patience, was doing that commentary with her. And you can hear us become friends over that audio. The moment where we're like, what was it? I think I mentioned something about Congo, or no, she's mentioned something about Congo, and everyone was like, "Ugh, Congo." But then I said, "Stop eating my sesame cake," and she looks at me like, "Did we just become best friends?" Yep. And it was a really nice but sad experience that I didn't know that you could have like that warm fuzzy feeling watching Deep Blue Sea. Thanks, Rennie Harlan. It'll be the only time I cry at one of your movies. I watched Live by Night, which was the Ben Affleck gangster movie that he directed, and
Hmm.
it was okay. It's kind of like I don't know. It's a not as good as nowhere near as good as any of his other movies that he directed. It's no Gone Girl or The Town.
That's disappointing because as a director, he'd been pretty consistent.
I think I conflated that one with The Town, but I don't think I've seen it. I haven't actually seen Live by Night.
It's like a period piece, The Town, kind of, but it's a little too long and a little too involved. And it really paints him as like this good guy of like he has a black girlfriend and he doesn't get involved in the drug trade. He's just with the alcohol, and it really goes out of his way to make he's a nice gangster. I was kind of like, why not just go in the whole way? I don't really. It's a gangster movie. None of these guys have to be good guys for me to root for them.
Yeah, you don't have to justify Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I care whether or not he lives or dies, even though he's a piece of shit. And then I caught up with Reincarnated as a Slime, some other animated stuff. I actually watched Inside Job before I knew it was part of the homework, so that was pretty cool to find that out, that I wasn't wasting my time. So I think I'm missing something off this here, but I can't think of it right now. All right, but that was my TV diaries.
Nice. Les?
So based on y'all raving about it on last week's Patreon, I watched Free Guy with Lisa. That was great. We rented it.
I'm glad you liked it because I didn't want to stop being friends.
Yep, y'all were. I would say I completely agree. I was afraid the trailer had showed me all of the great bits, and it has not. If that is your worry about Free Guy, if you liked anything in the trailer, there's 5 more of it, all of it, and also was a smarter story, I think, than it really necessarily needed to be
for sure
to have gotten made. I felt like they did work that was above and beyond just to really drive some themes home. A lot of it was really nicely set up. Also, Steve from Stranger Things with his saddest possible hair.
I miss the hair, I gotta say.
I through the whole movie, it was driving me insane. Of like, someone walk over and comb that shit straight up like Johnny Bravo. What the living hell? Why is it in his eyes?
I don't say this to everyone, but someone needs to 80s up his hair right now.
Yes, because he's like, but you know, he's sad programmer, and like his hair's like. And yeah, I love the shit out of that. I really, really enjoyed it. And then because I loved it at Fantastic Fest and Nick had just watched it, we also watched The Trip over on Netflix, which is super violent and still really funny to me. Watched Parks and Rec, of course, because I just watch, like, if I could Eternal Sunshine just wipe something from my memory just to be able to restart watching it, I wanted to be Parks and Rec right now, because I've seen all of them so many times.
Yeah.
But there's no other show that quite hits this exact spot where I'm not. Good Place has too much big arc. I really don't like The Office. I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but it's a lot of cops. Yeah, so Parks and Rec. 30 Rock, which I also enjoy, but is a little bit meaner.
Yeah.
I'm not always in the mood for it. Stargirl, which continues to be really, really great. And again, for as dark as Stargirl can sustain, really, really dark. The summer school season has been really cool. What We Do in the Shadows continues to be great. Eager to see if the big reveal at this last one actually pays off, or if this is a fake out or what. American Horror Story, which I can't believe wrapped up. I really thought there was another couple of episodes. I thought it was going to be like an even half and half split in the 2 seasons, and it's not. It's like a 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing. But it's all done now. May, I think, be my favorite. Splitting them between the 2, each half would vie for my favorite season. And so combined, this is great. If you've skipped out on AHS, go back and watch it.
That's like a little treat I've saved for myself. I haven't watched any of the second half, so I can now binge through the whole thing. And same with Stargirl, I'm way behind, and so I think I've got like 4 or 5 episodes.
Just wait and binge through it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Also been continuing to watch old Night Court episodes. Leverage Redemption, which feels like Leverage was already kind of a lightweight show, the fluffy and enjoyable, and this feels a little bit lighter. There's times where I'm like, oh, that con wouldn't fool anybody, Jesus God. But whatever. It's all actors you like. If you like Leverage, this is just watching them like continue to put on a dinner theater, and it's pretty wonderful for that. Legends of Tomorrow, which is somehow back. I feel like the long gap that we all had to wait through when nothing could happen for COVID, I think is now paying off in like CW having these seasons that barely have any break between them.
Yeah.
Legends of Tomorrow is back. Flash is about to come back already. I'm sure this has been enough time for them to think through their storylines. Totally. So yeah, Legends of Tomorrow is back and continues to be Legends of Tomorrow. Watch the homework and then watch the first episode of 9 Perfect Strangers, which I think had the misfortune of coming out too near White Lotus, and it just doesn't feel as serious as White Lotus. But the cast for that show is exceptional. Even in the first episode, like I can tell why people were frustrated that it's not any bigger than what you think is going on. Like she's dosing these people.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. And there's a lot of frustration in that. That said, Michael Shannon is killing it because he's Michael Shannon. Bobby Cannavale's
so
fucking
good.
great.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy can be one of the best people on my television, or she can be in things that I don't give a fuck about. This is the former. She's doing great in this. I'm surprised. I think Nicole Kidman might be currently like the weakest link in it for being in kind of full Stepford Wife flicking mode.
And doing a weird accent.
Oh yeah, I don't know what is with her Russian accent. I'm really hoping that in the storyline, at least, that is revealed to be fake or something.
Yeah, I want her to drop it and be like, actually, my name's
deeply
Nicole.
want this woman to be from Jersey or something and that be revealed. And I'm
sure.
hoping it goes there. I will actually keep watching this. It is fun so far. The first episode was fun.
I watched, I think, 2 of that one, and I think I liked it a little better than White Lotus, but I like them both in the same way, which is that this is an amazing cast in a beautiful location, and I fucking wish there were vampires or something in it.
Yeah, I get that. Though it did have that same feeling of like Midnight Mass of like, it can't just be what I think it is, right?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's my complaint with both of them. Like, this is just what it looks like, and I'm
realizing when people ask like, what kind of shows are you into or whatever, and I like everything. I watch a lot of TV and stuff. Like, deep down in my heart, I know that's not true because like as good as This Is Us is, or even like 6 Feet Under, like dramatic shows I really love. If you told me what about that show, but the corpses keep coming back to life, and the Fisher family has to keep like they don't want to keep the funeral home going, but they have to. And I'm like, fucking sold, man. Remake the whole show. They're doing
6 Feet Under 2, 6 Feet Above.
Yes.
The corpses come back and levitate.
No, 6 Feet Under 3, where they go to Australia, 6 feet down under.
Good David, mate. No,
yeah.
You see, the guys, you've been spoiled on anime. Now 1 or 2 hats is no longer enough for you.
No.
Yeah, we need more hats. You're right. We need more hats.
So that's what I watched.
All right, and speaking of anime, I believe it's time for our other regular segment, Truth is Stranger Than Fan Fiction.
Imagine, if you will, a reality containing television programs so bizarre they are indistinguishable from the ravings of a madman. Is the show you are about to hear simply a fabrication in the mind of a man with clearly nothing better to do with his time? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fan fiction?
Yeah, it's weird that I almost never speak about anime. What a great option for a transition right there. Les, I think it is your turn.
All right, what are my letters?
F and X.
Let's go with F.
Let's see. F. Oh, okay. Here's one. This is an anime, but it's actually a Chinese animation team, which are pretty rare. Like, they don't usually have. Usually, it's Japan as the big mega competitor for foreign animation, but China does some stuff too. And this one is a fantasy anime. It starts off with you see a bunch of goblins and ogres and orcs in a cave mining for rare metals and gems and stuff like that. And they are being their foremen, their slave drivers are actually pixies, like these little fairies, like Tinkerbells, and they are these little fairies are.
Did you just scoot past slave drivers?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I heard that right. Okay.
Did you think they were mining this thing for just? You think goblins were
No,
mining for themselves? No, that's dwarves you're
Nope.
thinking of. Dwarves are the ones
Yeah.
that work. The pixies, yeah, they actually create light whips or whatever and start to whip them to make sure that they, keep going. Because apparently, and then one of them gets uppity, and a fucking fairy shoots like light into its eye and blows it out of the back of its head, but doesn't kill it. He just gets an eye patch. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this so violent? It's actually not animated darkly. They're like, the pixies are very cute looking, but they're vicious. and
Question.
Yeah.
Is it a double eye patch or is it an eye patch cork situation? Or like, what are you doing about the hole where the eye went out?
I don't know. They just put an eye patch over it and there's no hole in the back of his head. They never explain it.
It's just hair like a comb over.
I feel like if he were to get, like, that's his secret weapon, is that if someone were to like stab him in the eye, he could just be like, aha, there's nothing there. It's just a big hole. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
No, like he's fencing and they go for it and he's just like, ha! And,
and then he can turn his head and like disarm him.
Oil comes out. Yes, he takes the sword away. I see how this goes, yes.
Les, do you want to write our One-Eyed Fencer show after this?
Trompe la foil.
Apparently in this world, a magic and power is based off of light, like literal light, not like light and soul, but like solar energy and light that's reflected off metals. That's why they're mining precious metals and gems. They're mining the shiny stuff. And the non-stuff, they just kind of throw away everything else. So this one goblin finds this obsidian, like a big deposit of an obsidian, which is useless to the fairies because it just absorbs light, apparently. Which I don't think is how actually obsidian works, but, whatever. And it actually gives the goblin dark magic, like that hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. Because lack of light usually means lack of power. But the obsidian, like, is the only element that can reverse that and make the absence of light into a power for him. So he becomes this mage. And he gets to, like, free his brethren from these pixies. And except that there's way more than just pixies in this world. And now he's got to, like, try and figure out a way to defend his family and this community that's, become slaves, basically. And they have to fight, like, what was it? The elves, of course, are douchebags, but that's not really, like, I feel like the elves are always dicks even when they're good guys, so that wasn't really shocking. But what was cool was that there's some princesses and, like, magical girls that are just unbelievably evil. Because the cuter and, like, more light-based they are, the more power they have, and the more power corrupts. It's pretty interesting. Like, they have one that I think is an analog for Sleeping Beauty, because she's actually a conduit for power, in which that they keep her asleep in order to maintain a dream state in her kingdom, and like a dream barrier that so they constantly drug her to keep her in a half sleep state, and they have to go and save her in order to, like, escape their the mine where the mine is in that particular territory, I guess, or near it. And they're protected by these princes, which I thought was really funny because they're charmed princes. They are mind controlled by the princesses and witches and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's a Prince Charming, but they're charmed. That's funny. And then they have light swords that they call lightning sabers, which I was like, good call. You added the NG on the end there. That avoids the copyright. That way you don't want the Disney on your ass.
Nick, is it one or two princes?
Are there two princes?
No, there's a bunch of them. Like, that's are
there any doctors? Any spin doctors?
No, I think someone has a turntable, but I don't see any microphones in there.
Go ahead, man.
Sorry, Les and I are just amusing ourselves here.
What are we doing?
Because you mentioned lightning sabers.
We're
and now
exploiting an age gap.
Now I'm sure that this is Magiswords again. So
I don't know what Lightning Sabers is. That a band? What are you guys referencing?
we're talking about the Two Princes song, the song "Two Princes" by the Spin Doctors. It's a song from the '90s. You probably weren't alive yet, Nick.
But no, I was
it's the
alive
thing
for the
that happened.
'90s. I was just alive for the '90s. This is another Night Court Babylon 5 situation.
It 100% is, yes.
So yeah, they free themselves from there. They free one of the princes, and he joins the team. He's a fucking idiot. I don't know if it's because he was always that way, but they imply that it's kind of brain damage, so that's pretty dark. And let's see, the fairies are like the fairies that survived the attack. They go into the witches to get help, and apparently the good witches, like the Glenda Good Witch type chicks, are who runs everything. Like they have the good magic and shit, but they all serve the queen or whatever, the matriarch, which is actually a humanoid unicorn. Because unicorns are the most powerful because they can control rainbows, which are every aspect of light. So apparently that's more light than if you just had light, I guess. I don't know how any of this works. It's just a chick with a horn on her head. So whatever. They kind of assemble a suicide squad to go and help and liberate other towns in order to build up this rebellion. There's one albino orc that they find, which is pretty cool. He was cast out because the orcs hide because they're like black and brown and like dark colors, but this white albino orc keeps giving them away when they're trying to hide from fairies and witches and stuff. So they just kick his ass out to the cold because they don't want to get killed. So he kind of just joins up because he has nothing else to do, and apparently his skin, being that he's lighter, actually helps him resist light magic, apparently, because it reflects magic and dark colors absorb magic, I think. I don't know. They don't directly explain that, but it kind of feels like the light spectrum is where the power is coming from, but it feels inconsistent.
No, it's like in Texas when in the summer you can't wear shorts and sit down in a black upholstered car until it's, less magic.
But of course, it hasn't gotten weird enough yet because we find a Gorgon, like this Medusa type, which is just this chick with a snake tail. And I thought, okay, she's gonna do something with stone, right? Like that would be her thing. No, she just is a good fighter and strangles people to death with their tail. And apparently the white orc, the albino orc, they figure out that is his thing. He likes being constricted by snake tails. That's his kink.
Okay, sure.
It's pretty weird. They do it a lot. Makes me uncomfortable. The albino orc makes a gift for her, which is... How do I describe this? What's a pantyhose, but it's for one leg and it's a snake tail?
Why is there a question? That's a question I never need an answer to.
Thigh-high husk?
We'll go with that. Thigh-high husk. He makes a thigh-high husk for her.
A snaking?
Yeah, and because he thinks it would be hot, apparently. I don't know what's going on. The show isn't actually that sexual. I was surprised by how non-sexual it's violent, but not sexual until this fucking Gorgon chick shows up, and then suddenly it gets real weird real fast. Jeez. Let's see, a couple other characters, they kind of go through towns, but not everybody joins up the team. The dwarves don't like to come up from the underground, the caves that they're in, because they think the sky is like a demon possessed, that's blue sky. What the fuck is blue? Blue is evil. Let's see what else they fight. Oh no, they're looking for a dragon because they feel like dragons also have power because they've gotten light in their stomachs. That's how they make fire. And so that's their main quest. I haven't gotten to the point where they find a dragon yet, but I feel like it's also going to be a weird sexual thing too, because it also looks like a lizard, and apparently that's what things are sexual in this universe, are lizards things. See, I think the only other thing that kind of struck me was, I think this was a Snow White reference, but I'm not sure, because they run into a witch that got cursed because she tried to poison one the main Glenda Goodwitch chick with poisoned pomegranates. And I was like, wait a minute. Is that like the twist on the Snow White thing where like she tried to feed him as poisoned apple, but it was a poisoned pomegranate and it was not in any situation? I can't tell if it's a very subtle reference or if they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
I would bet it's a Persephone reference. She eats a few pomegranate seeds.
Oh,
Ties herself to Hades.
oh
Yeah.
shit! Maybe that's what it is.
The pomegranate is a symbol of of marriage.
Well, thanks, Les. Now I feel stupid, but that's probably what it is. What more of it is? I don't know if there was a Hades metaphor in there. I don't remember there being like a devil guy or anything, but yeah, I guess that could definitely be what it is. Like, Greek mythology is not up to snuff, apparently. Guys, is this a conjuring of mythology that I obviously don't understand because I missed the whole Greek mythology thing? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fanfiction?
Les, what do you think?
I want to say that this is real because I think it would be crazier if you'd made it up.
Thank you, I guess?
I kind of lean the same way. I feel like this is not the craziest thing I've ever heard in anime. This feels like there's at least one less hat than I was expecting. So yeah, I think this is real.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I have to pick some weirder animes or something. Because this is totally fake, guys. This is
Oh, you made this one up.
I made it up. I completely made it up. Pantyhose it all.
But we got a good fencing pun out of it.
It was just some references from a bunch of other sci-fi things I smashed together from Dragon Age, a couple other sci-fi books, and that's about it.
All right. Well, we've got to get you to put all of these in like an Excel sheet or a Google Doc or something, because I'm sure we could make at this point an anime generator.
Yeah,
and you're like where you just pull the lever and like, all right, this week's show is going to be.
All right, this time the person is powered by blood.
Yes.
And they wield a giant scythe that is also a vampire.
And there's a button that just, if you push the button, it just says it's just Magic Swords again.
Yes.
And now it's just Magic Swords again.
Well, this is a good place to remind you guys that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode. In exchange, we get to keep our streaming services and pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, the Muppet Marathon reaches its penultimate episode as we talk about the 2011 Muppets movie called The Muppets. We also have our $20 showrunner level, which, if there are shows you want us to throw into the rotation, you can buy it at that level. Give us a couple of ideas. Again, cannot stress enough, does not have to be animated in any way. Could be a show we want to watch, but just haven't gotten around to. There's all kinds of stuff. Could be an older show. You're like, hey, I wonder what those guys think of Cheers. You could throw that on there.
Yeah, let's get some live action stuff in there. Let's like Kamen Rider. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Ultraman show, right?
Those are several Ultraman shows. Some animated and some live action.
No, I don't know. Okay, let's get to our new business for the week, and let's talk about Invasion, which, Nick, you were bemoaning that last week that we're always agreeing on everything, and I think we are split on this show.
Oh, really?
Yes. So much so, I'm glad Les said something, because I was prepared to call this week's episode Cartoons Are Better, because I thought we all hated the live action stuff this week, but Les, it turns out, did not hate Invasion as much as I hated it.
Yeah, it's still third boring for me. There's like one whole through line with the Japanese space agency that I could give just zero shits about.
It's funny because that's where the best acting is.
So they did a scene early on when you first see them say goodbye, the Japanese astronaut, and it was clearly her girlfriend.
Yep.
Or ex, or it's complicated, or whatever the fuck's going on.
and they have this like really tense, we're not gonna say, like, very stoic, we're not gonna say anything we mean scene back and forth. There's another astronaut in the room who's
Yeah.
in the chair laying there in his suit, like they can't move. He's like, they're already loaded in for the mission, and it's just so like I just kept staring at that guy of like, this is fucking awkward, dude.
Like, he's just there pretending not to listen.
Right? I mean, like, you just, can I have someone come in and talk to me?
Maybe he was shipping them, and they knew it.
Maybe. I wish they'd acknowledged it or something, or had even a moment of it had to be weird.
Yeah.
But in general, I made it to so I watched the first two. I liked the first one enough. I don't know. Those kids played Blue Danube bad enough that God gave them all nosebleeds, and I thought that was fucking funny. And I liked
Vengeance was served.
the Twilight Zone moment of like the monsters are due on Mulberry Street or whatever, where like the family that walks out and their house is relatively unscathed, and the neighbors pretty quickly are like, "Hey, why isn't your shit fucked up, man?"
And I didn't notice this
Yeah, we
before,
should
but you're
just-
slightly browner than the rest of us.
Right? And it's like you could just see them all like, "Kids, grab one thing you love, get in the fucking car."
That family are monsters. Like,
They're definitely aliens. Something's coming out about
the
them.
husband tries to abandon his family right as the shit is
Oh,
going down.
I
Yeah.
stood up and laughed. Like that was one of the most like force majeure, like brutal moments of like.
And then he
"Oh,
has to
buddy,
get back in the car.
this
and act
road
like
trip is
nothing
gonna-
happened.
the noise the wife makes when she yells at him from the back of the car, like she just screams at him, and he turns around and like, oh, this road trip is gonna suck. Clark Griswold.
I guess for me, I only watched the first episode, then I gave up because I saw some reviews saying there are no fucking aliens anywhere in the first 3 episodes.
That's just
There
not
are
true,
not.
But
Okay.
you know, at the end of the second episode, they definitely run into an alien thing.
No, they run
Okay,
into a
all right.
spaceship that kind of does
Yeah.
something and then
Which I
disappears.
assume is flown by.
And guess what? There's nothing in the third episode either. I watched the fucking all because I wanted to see one goddamn alien.
Well, I'll be mad if it doesn't keep. I haven't watched the third one yet, but at the end of the second one, I liked the soldiers stepping through the cloud into just a like, oh, we done fucked up. Like we just these guns seem dumb now. What do we do? And the sergeant's like, I guess we shoot the guns at it.
The first episode was all it was. I was watching it and I realized, and at the moment that she's seeing her husband fucking some other woman, I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this show supposed to be about aliens? Why am I following the story of this? Why am I listening to the story about infidelity? This is not what I tuned in for.
And guess who isn't in episode 2 and 3? Sam Neill at all.
Oh my god.
They drop his story completely.
You guys remember? There's an episode of The Simpsons where they're going on a field trip or something. They're watching a video, and it keeps going and it keeps going, and they're supposed to be going to a fireworks factory, but they never get to the fireworks factory. And at one point, Milhouse, just in extreme preteen angst, just calls out, "When are they going to get to the fireworks factory?" That is what Invasion was to me. It's like, when the fuck are they going to get to the fireworks factory? Because I didn't care about any of these characters. And Sam Neill, I love Sam Neill, but him playing American is weird as shit. If he's not playing the guy from Jurassic Park, I don't want him to play American.
Yeah, Idabel, Oklahoma is not where Sam Neill's from.
He
It's just
said,
not.
just because Jurassic Park, many people think I can't do an American accent for the longest time. And I'm like, I still think that, Sam.
Yep,
Well,
and you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
This show is technically taking place, at least the Sam Neill portion of it, is technically taking place in like 30 minutes from where Res Dogs is happening. And I would enjoy Invasion 1,000% more if any character from Res Dogs wandered in.
We're going to go fight aliens. Skoden.
Man, especially if it was Mose and the other the rapping twins. I just want to see them bike through every Invasion episode and like, what's up with the crop circles, yo?
This felt like a writing challenge where someone like, "Hey, you've got Sam Neill, and we're giving you basically the plot of Independence Day. Can you make it boring?" And someone's like, "I can do that."
Bring it.
It's that somebody, I feel like somebody tried to make it serious. Like it jumps in at the most Netflix away kind of like
Yes.
how dead serious can we make I think that's why the Japanese Space Agency one worked for me least, because it was the most on the nose, like slow, somber, let's go to space, important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the soldier one was funniest to me, because like I feel bad for that guy who I like from Winona Earp, the main Sarge we're following or whatever. And they're at least goofing around and having fun. Like everyone else is in the middle of like the worst relationship.
Yeah, they're singing a song from Moana or something in the Jeep.
Yeah.
There's a great moment in episode 3 where the soldier, after he gets fucked up by that spaceship, gets saved by this wandering dude in a with a camel, and they kind of like camp out and spend the night together. Can't understand each other whatsoever. Like there's the language barrier is impenetrable, but they both start to talk about the stars or whatever. They like point to the stars, and they both tell their own story about one has like is missing his dead daughter, and then the other one about like this girl he dated one time and was in love with. And it was actually really nice because they were like they both liked having another person to talk to hear them, even if they weren't listening or couldn't understand. And I thought like, wow, that was a very powerful moment that I liked. And then that was the only thing I could take away from this entire show was like that singular moment.
Slowly ruining Nick.
Between this Foundation and Debris and like all these other ones, I'm like, maybe I'm just like bottom of the barrel, my low common denominator, but someone shoot a fucking laser, someone blow up a spaceship, someone fight something with tentacles right goddamn now.
What I'm hoping is that this leads to a backlash where we get like another Fifth Element or Flash Gordon show or something. Just to have like some primary colors and some shit. Because I'll be real, I think I may have like held off watching Dune partly because I'd already watched like a couple of hours of at least mildly color like imbued. Like at least Invasion like has some regular clothes in it and color. And Dune just looks brown.
I wouldn't watch anything animated right after Dune. Your eyes have to adjust to color again.
Nick, I'm going to prescribe to you Babylon 5 as the cure for these disappointing space shows. I think you would enjoy Babylon 5.
Haircuts alone, man.
The one with the lizards?
The one with the what?
That's B.
The one with the court lawyers that are also lizards?
Babylon V. No, you're thinking of V. Yes, that is V.
Oh, I'm thinking of Night Court.
Yes.
Yeah, you're thinking of Night Court. Anyway, Les, I'll be curious for you to keep watching this and tell us if there's any more aliens in it, because I think Nick and I are both pieced out on this thing.
Yeah. There may be a moment of like, hey, jump in at episode 6 and you'll figure out the previous.
Well, Les basically said that it was just a problem in marketing. It was supposed to be called Evasion and not Invasion.
Yes. Unfortunately, yeah, it's supposed to just be.
Because I was just sitting there like, man, a whole lot of not invading going on here.
Well, and that's actually that's what This Is Us is. It's actually a genre show about aliens who never find Earth.
This show has as much aliens as This Is Us.
Egypt invaded the Syrians, who invaded the Arab sheiks. Hannibal then invaded the Romans invaded the Greeks. The Saxons invaded Britain, the Mongols invaded Japan. Japan invaded Manchuria, and Iraq invaded Iran. Can't we all just get along? Why do we have to fight?
Why not just accept along, admit that I was right?
Diplomacy and compromise are how the peace is made. When things get slack, watch your back, cause somebody's gonna invade.
I did not watch part of the homework this week, and I warned you guys up front that I put this on the homework because it was on, but I wasn't probably going to watch it. It was mostly to make fun of it. And this is a show based on a movie that I've never seen. I Know You What You Did Last Summer has a Prime series.
You've never seen this movie?
No, never seen it.
I forget sometimes that you're just slightly older than me, and the 90s were slightly different for you.
Yeah. No, I was in college by the 90s. So yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just not a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. This was for me. This was part of, and Kevin Williams. Like, I don't think these things hold up great. They're like movie versions of Christopher Pike novels or R.L. Stein or whatever.
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer was one of the better horror movies of the 90s, which should tell you, oh my god, the 90s was a fucking wasteland.
But at the time, we were just so glad to have like
anything. We were so glad to have
a
fucking anything.
as a proper genre that wasn't like straight to video. And so yeah, I saw the shit out of this. And then there was I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and then there was I Always Know What You, and the diminishing return is not a strong enough phrase for it is some Jaws sequel.
They didn't accept my pitch for I kind of remember what you did last summer, but could you remind me? And then my take for an Alzheimer's killer, which I don't remember anything about last summer or any summer before that.
Well, I definitely didn't know that any of this was based on a Lois Duncan book. Lois Duncan? Yeah, I didn't know any of this was based on a novel. But what they're doing with this show is plot-wise different anyway. I don't think there's a twin in the novel.
So I didn't watch this. Did either of you y'all watch this?
Yes, yeah, I watched the first episode.
I watched 2 episodes.
And it's Nick, I feel like, so Nick and I talked about this the other day. Like, I feel like you nailed it. There's the back 20 minutes of this episode, which I think is an hour long. It may only be 30 minutes long. It just felt like that. But like the back 20 minutes of it, they think you still don't know a twist, and it's so clear. Like if you, I feel like if you've watched, unless this is like literally your first like murder rodeo, or whatever, like if you've never seen any,
I still feel like you could still figure it out.
No, there's a moment at the bar of the party where you'll be like, oh, okay, well that just fucking happened. And from that point forward, though, there's this shitty moment where you realize about 10 minutes after that like, oh crap, you still think I don't know.
Should we spoil this, Les, or what? Do you want?
I think you're
absolutely.
Safe to
There's
spoil
actually,
this.
because the whole point of what I'm trying to say, there's no way to not fucking spoil this. You're gonna see it coming. There are 2 twins. One of them dies, and it's not the one you fucking think.
Well, yeah, it's a twin storyline. So what the fuck do you think happens? Like, why is there twins in this murder show? And so they get into the Jeep, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Lennon," like, which is one of the other twins. I think one is Shannon or something.
I don't know, Lennon
and so it's Shannon or whatever, because she's acting all like Shannon, like, down, not the party girl. Allison, that's it.
Yeah.
And they mistake her for Lennon. I don't know how they do that because they act completely differently. But they go down the road in this Jeep. They hit something with their car. Turns out it was Lennon, the other twin.
I think it's a goat, Nick. It's going to be a goat. I think it's a goat.
They sure hoped it was a goat, but it was not a goat.
It's not a goat. It's her sister.
So now they hide the body because they're worried about where they're gonna go for college, and they're 18, so technically they're adults.
They hide the body in a cult cave where a bunch of cult members died and were taken out to sea by the tide from the cult cave. But their names are carved in the wall. Randy, who carved their names?
So wait a minute.
Also, their mom is dead, they think, but I think it's the lady at the side of the hill.
How are they making this premise last beyond a movie length?
No fucking clue, man. I don't know. On the one hand, I'm this is not as boring as like Guilty whatever that we watched last week that I could only remember like half the name of.
Well, this is the first 15 minutes of a movie stretched to an hour, basically. This is the setup.
Oof.
And that's why the last 20 minutes of it, you can't believe that they are still.
They flash back.
The idea
they even flash back to show you like, oh, you thought it was. No, I didn't think it was Lennon. Oh, but it was Allison.
Also, that happened this episode. Why are you flashing back to it?
Yeah. And you realize, oh, they think I didn't know this. They think this is a twist. So this last 20 minutes hinges on the fact that it's this, because they explain the reveal so thoroughly that you didn't need explained because you had already figured it out.
You're like, oh god, we're building to it. It's like realizing your friends are building to a surprise party on the way home. And you're like, oh man.
We all had that one friend that, like, guys, I have to sit you down and tell you something. I'm gay. And you had to pretend that you didn't know the whole time. And it's pretty awkward. Oh, wow. I'm so glad you're brave enough to tell me. It changes nothing about what I think about you at all. Our relationship in no way.
Yeah, this just made me want to go back and watch like Sarah Michelle Gellar's show The Ringer, or not The Ringer, just Ringer, which had a similar kind of setup thing of like a twin taking over your life, or literally any number of slide. Go watch AHS 1984. There's just any number of better. The original movie with Lindsay Lohan and shit is more fun than this. At least it's not pretending to have any kind of other era vibe. This is set modern, but yeah, it's not it's not straight up boring like the Kate Beckinsale show was, but it doesn't go crazy enough, and so it just feels really just meh.
This suggests to me a challenge for the end of this year. Not that we need more challenges, but I'm considering it's just we should go through our list of what shows we watched but didn't finish, and rate which ones were most likely to finish and which ones were least likely to ever watch again.
I would
Sure.
say if you are considering watching this show, you should watch instead the '90s movie and Panic on Amazon,
Oh, okay, all right.
which is going to be a more fun teens in nature of thing, I think.
I know what you did last summer. Hooks out gonna make you suffer. I know what you did last summer. Time to make you scream. I know what you did last summer. You're scared gonna make you shudder. I know what you did last summer. I will kill this team.
So let's leave the world of live action and jump into animation for our last three. Let's talk about Inside Job over on Netflix. I'm really curious to hear what you guys thought of this, especially Nick, who I feel like this might be more up your alley than it was mine. I liked but did not love this.
You're damn right, I loved it.
Did you? Okay, all right.
I thought it's generally got much like a Rick and Morty DNA in it, but it is basically, I was telling Les that the Illuminati trilogy books?
Mhm.
Like
Illuminatus, yeah.
it's basically kind of like that, where the setup is that what if every conspiracy was true at once, even the conflicting ones? Because there's not only a deep state, but there's also an Illuminati, and they're kind of in competition with one another. And Oprah
Yeah.
runs the Illuminati, which is, and they show like the deep state in the first episode, and I just wanted to pause and go through it all. There are these background things. I saw Barack Obama's birth certificate in a mailer at one point on the desk,
A
and
bunch of Avril Lavigne clones run by at one point, and I had to pause it and like pull up on Wikipedia and show Lisa like, nope, that's a thing. There's a whole conspiracy theory.
So here, I liked this, but I think that I felt like I was like, okay, between Rick and Morty and Archer, I think I've seen most of the beats on this show done already. And also conspiracy stuff like I know that Gravity Falls, which one of the co-creators created.
Makes a
I
lot
think
of sense.
I think all the creators were Gravity Falls people. Like the weirdness of that was there. And I think for me, this is like I'm like, I feel like I've seen a lot of this. And even though it kind of works, I was always enjoying it, but I never had a moment of like where I sometimes have with something like Rick and Morty, where I was like, oh, that was really good. I did not see that coming, or that thing made me laugh. It always felt a little bit like when I watch Seth MacFarlane shows where I'm like, it's funny, but I don't want to like it.
I went into this thinking it was going to be pretty terrible. Like, why did we make this? Like you said, we already have Rick and Morty. American Dad was terrible. I think it is still on, but
It is
they're
technically
wrong
yes.
doing
Yeah,
that.
that's correct.
And I just didn't really know why. And then I had very much a similar experience to if they had given me Lower Decks all at once. I feel like that's what this would have felt like, because I watched one and was like, that was pretty good. I'll watch a second one. So we watched a second one, and then I had to go do something, so we had to pause the viewing. And later on that night, after we finished doing other stuff, I was like, hey, I'll watch a third one of those, and we finished out the rest of the series like in one
Yeah.
go. And by the end of it, I was really amazed how much of an arc it had and like where they left it standing. I liked the constant, like they have a new employee at the start who's like, how evil are we? And
Yeah.
and then they just kind of keep pushing that over till like by the end it's just like, fuck it, who cares? We're pretty evil.
Yeah.
well, it's like that they're themselves are like they're just desk jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they know they're working for an evil corporation, but how much more evil is it than like an oil company or like anything else? Like, is that Larry's fault, the guy that runs the forklift? No, he's just like, I gotta need a paycheck too, I guess. Other than Regan's a legit psychopath. Like she's pretty close to
And I
being a
love that-
supervillain.
That they're all like, every day you are a little bit closer to supervillain. Do you realize that? Like there's a moment where like instead of just asking a guy on a date, and she builds a robot to practice dating on, which the whole time like, hey, just ask him out instead. This is gonna okay, well, and then her robot decides she's not good enough and makes a robot version of her,
Yeah.
and then sets that robot's confidence to 100%. And I love her running in the room of like, we'll deal with you having made a clone of me in a moment. You set its confidence to what? The only thing that keeps me from taking over the world is insecurity. And like, sure enough, like her robot wakes up and it's like fucking Jack becoming a god on lower decks. Like, there's just an immediate like, I will rule the. Like, it's the second time I think on the show at that point that she has inadvertently created like an Ultron.
Yes, yeah, she does it pretty regularly.
It's kind of like actually, this is two Orvils. This is a double Orville. but in a similar fashion, like, I went into this going, why do we need this? And then came out of it going, I really hope that got another season. I really love that. I didn't realize it was Gravity Falls connected, but it feels of a piece a little bit. And I was hoping that wasn't just me wishing that it was Gravity Falls, but no, okay, that DNA's in there. Cool.
It's as strange as Gravity Falls, but kind of meaner.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I just didn't. I guess there was nothing about this that like just grabbed me. I think the closest I got to really liking it was episode 5, the like when they're doing the 80s riff and they're making fun of 80s riffs at the same time, and they kind of managed to have their cake and eat it too. Like, yes, this is stupid, but also this is fun, and yes, we're riffing E.T. and our E.T. is a sex monster. Riff played by Brett Gelman. Like there was some fun stuff in there, and then everything from there on was sort of was like, okay, now I'm on board. And so the whole thing with her basically sleeping with a James Bond type and then having to ghost him.
Oh, that was good
because he's so. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff in that second half.
Well, and their mushroom guy. I mean, like, all of them that episode have to deal with the person that they've ghosted in their lives, and I love that the living mushroom that exudes like a memory erasing psychedelic has to call and deal with his relationship with Joe Rogan.
Yes.
And then the other guy has like to call his sex cult that he ghosted.
Yes.
I just don't have the emotional bandwidth for 2 sex cults right now.
Like, no, what is the point of an anonymous sex orgy if I have to exchange information?
Yeah, and the flat earther storyline was really funny.
Wonderful.
Fucking idiots.
That was pretty good.
Think the earth is flat. Obviously it's hollow with those creatures from Land of the Lost inside.
Oh god, yeah, I really enjoyed them losing control of the flat earthers. That was.
Come on, you were gullible enough to believe me. Why aren't you gullible enough now?
It's also hard to, if you told me that you were going to do a show that played around in conspiracies in 2021, I probably would have told you not to do it, because that's a weird line. It's like telling me you're going to launch Brooklyn Nine-Nine this year. Like, reality has sucked the funny out of conspiracy theories for me of late. Like, it's hard for me to even laugh at something as dumb as Avril Lavigne being replaced in 2003.
Yeah, I do have to give them. I give them massive credit for basically being able to take a thing which, because of QAnon and all that shit, shouldn't be funny anymore, and making it funny and wacky and goofy, and you can still enjoy it.
I think it's important we make as much stuff like this in America the Movie, where we just tell people how fucking stupid they are to believe some of the things they believe nowadays. I feel like it's a public service. It's community service, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like this. And some other people didn't like America the Movie because it was not very subtle. And
those people are wrong. That movie was fucking delightful.
And I thought, like, well, the lack of subtlety is there because subtlety doesn't work anymore. Like, it's
right.
Irony is dead. So like the only way to get through to anybody is like, no, like to bluntly say like you're a fucking idiot. And Jeff Bezos on the flat earther thing, it was like a direct shot at him because he just keeps going, I haven't been able to go to the bathroom in like 2 hours. This is monstrous. And I see no irony in this.
All right, let's talk about the other animated before we get to our dessert animated.
One more, but I did want to say that the line that I took away from this that I think is great is nationalism is governing for basic bitches. I feel like that struck home. I liked that. Oh, also Regan irradiates some turtles to make them Ninja Turtles and ends up giving them cancer. And
that's when I texted Nick.
And I felt seen. I felt like, okay, that we...
I didn't know if he'd watched it yet. I think at that point I just was like, I don't know if you're actually watching this or not, but you need to jump ahead to this episode and watch the first 10 minutes for me right now.
All right, the other show, this one resonated a little bit more with me. This was Maya and the Three, which is the creator of Book of Life, which
Mhm.
I loved. It came out before Coco. Did similar things, but they're both very different, very good movies. I thought this was really good. Did you guys watch this?
I didn't. This wasn't on my radar at all until you had texted or mentioned it, and then I'd seen it go by on Netflix, but I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was. I loved Book of Life. That was pretty wonderful. And so when you said who the character design on this, I thought would look great, and I was
Yeah.
down for it. I've only watched the first episode, but I really enjoyed this. I don't know that I would have sought it out, but yeah, I'm getting a kick out of this. If this had been a feature-length movie, I think it'd be like Moana or something.
Yeah, so I burned through all of it, and I do think to some extent Book of Life is better than this. And I think that the extended format doesn't do it any favors. I feel like this should have been cut down to 4 episodes instead of like 9 episodes, and they would have made a much tighter story. But the voice cast is great.
Mm-hmm.
The design work is gorgeous, and the story is good. And by the end of it, I was pretty happy with it. I thought this was a good solid. It's a kid's cartoon, but it's not like too kiddie, I didn't think.
Alfred Molina's Lord of the Dead or whatever the
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
is downright creepy looking.
Yeah.
He looks dangerous. I
He's
dig
two
it.
faces that become one face. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nick, what did you think of this?
I didn't watch it until today. I was the last thing on the homework that I checked out, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch an episode of this to be familiar with it, and then I didn't stop watching it until we started recording just this episode. I got it to episode 5 before I had to come here and record this.
Yeah.
I think it's very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Wow, a lot more death in this show, like a lot of murder.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of people die. And I think the Latin cast or Latina cast is really good. Zoe Saldana and Stephanie Beatrice and was it Alfred Molina is one of the bad guys. I think
Mhm.
Diego Luna is the like Bat Prince or whatever. And
Mhm.
they're all doing like it's celebrities, but they're all like have had work in voiceover before at least a little bit, so they're doing a really good job, I think, and bringing a lot to it. They have their Scooby-Doo Panther that like needs or
Yes.
Puma or Jaguar or whatever the fuck it is that it needs to get over his PTSD. And to be fair, he watched hundreds of people die. Like
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, okay, I get why he might need a minute to reboot. And I think they have like Danny Trejo as a devil baby for a minute, and it scared the shit out of me. I did not like that at all. When he transformed into a giant monster, I was like, thank God. That's a form I can take.
I love when they introduce each god and they do it's like a video game cutscene, like freeze frames, and it comes up what the
Mhm.
god is.
Well, they Suicide Squad introduced them.
It's great. I love it every time. I think they did a great job. I think it's Diego Luna who voices Zatz, who's like the half man, half god. He's like
He's
his
the Bat Prince,
his
yeah.
father.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that character quite a bit. I really like you. I don't think you've met Pichu yet. I think, or is he in episode 5?
I think he's in episode 5. I think he's the barbarian, right?
He's the barbarian, and he's a great character.
Oh, he's real fun. I like him. His backstory is so sad. Like,
yeah. Well, everybody's backstory is so sad. Like everybody's family has died, or
everyone's backstory is so dark and depressing. Like,
yeah.
what was
Stephanie
it?
Beatrice's character, who's like the whole forest got killed, and
They call her
and she's like-
Monstre Negro or no,
yeah,
or
yeah, Blanco,
Blanco, like
Blanco.
the white monster, and because she was
Yeah.
born albino, I was like, Jesus. And
Yeah,
she tells a story by the campfire of like how she wants to meet her mom. That's why she wants to
Mhm.
meet the goddess of death, because her mom died at childbirth, and she just wants to like meet her. And she's like, I guess I just kind of want to say sorry for being born and killing her. And I was like, God damn,
hmm
Fucking dark cartoon, yo.
this
Yeah.
is a kid's show, right? This is some
Yeah,
dark
yeah.
shit.
yeah. The action sequences, by the way, are phenomenal.
They're pretty good. They
Yeah.
remind me of
I like the fight.
Troll Hunter, but they're actually better animated. They're the backgrounds are fuller, the animation is smoother.
in the first episode how like when shit first goes nuts and like the two stone giants stand up and they realize
Yeah.
they're it's about to go off, and how like dancing on his tiptoes excited her dad is.
Yeah.
Of like,
Her
it's
dad's a
the
great
end of
character.
the world. Like it is some straight up like Thor stoked for Ragnarok, like
Yeah.
Warriors 3. It's some Warriors 3 shit.
Yeah.
Of like oh my god, y'all have been drunk all day looking forward to this.
Yep. Yeah. I really love this, and I feel like Netflix, and maybe again, there's so much stuff coming out, but I feel like Netflix like slow played this because this is a big deal. Like Book of Life was a great movie, and it looked unlike anything else, and this feels and looks unlike anything else. So I'm like, I was shocked when I put it out there. I was like, oh, I put it on my Facebook. I'm like, hey, if anybody like Book of Life, you should check this out. And several people were like, oh, I'd never even heard of this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it. I didn't know what I
It's
was
really-
getting into when I first watched it, but yeah, I'm real into it now. I also thought like it's good that they made her a half god at one point, because in the first episode I was
Mhm.
like, so she's got super strength, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely has powers.
Yeah, because she's beating the shit out of a man that's like 7 times her size, and I was like,
Mhm.
Knocks out the tooth he liked.
I liked that one. Brr.
All right, let's have what passes for dessert this week, and that is the surprise return of Young Justice. This is like some Netflix baller shit from HBO Max. They're like, hey, not only are we bringing Young Justice back, 2 episodes are up on the service right now. You can go watch them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you only watch the 2? There's a third one up.
No, I watched 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I think they dropped 2 at the same time, and then the third one came out the week after, or 5 days after. I always forget how much I like Young Justice until it comes back.
I think the problem is that some of the seasons don't hold up on a complete story arc, but all the individual episodes are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like my only problem with the third season is their moral high ground, their message is really mixed up and conflicted, which is
Mhm.
real weird, and I feel like hinders that last episode of like what they're trying to come away with that entire thing. So I'm not sure about these first 3 episodes because we only spend time with fucking McGann, Superboy, and Beast Boy on Mars during the wedding for Superboy and McGann. And we get the Legion finally, which is cool.
That was when I saw the Legion flight rings, I was so happy.
Yeah, because they showed that in the last image of the last season. I was like, "Fucking Legion, baby!"
Yep,
And
yep.
they didn't cheap out like Supergirl and be like, "Oh, we're just gonna have the one that controls metal, and then Brainiac 5, but not show him as a robot, and then maybe a strong guy."
It's the espionage team.
Nope,
It's their espionage
It's
team.
Phantom Girl and what's it, Saturn?
Chameleon Boy and Saturn Girl.
Saturn Girl, yeah.
They're the. I mean, all they're missing is Invisible Kid, and it's like their spy team that they said that they have. So I think that's, and they've come back and they're hiding in the shadows because they're like, yeah, we're not supposed to be here. And then they're doing the whole thing with like, this is such an interesting take on the DC universe. It feels very DC in a way that say a lot of the movies don't, and yet it is a complete fabrication. Like this version of Mars, is nowhere else. This is completely invented for Young Justice.
Martian Manhunter's whole backstory in almost every continuity I've read is that he's the last Martian.
Yeah.
So this whole Martian society is like fertile ground that's never been touched before in a DC universe context. And now they get to deal with like the racism element of like McGann. I didn't realize McGann was half green, half white.
I didn't either. I thought she was a white Martian, so that was kind of cool.
So like she comes from a large family where only her and her brother were the white siblings with the like 7 other green ones that they meet with the one girl that has the voice actress from Starfire, I think.
I think you mean Gron and White.
Sure.
I like that
guess.
they're all their names are, instead of, they don't just call them green Martians, red Martians, white Martians. They've all got that weird Martian thing,
Yeah,
like
and they're on Mars.
and the yellow, and they're on Mars.
Yeah.
And it's goofy, but I love it.
It's weird how their language is kind of like ours, just mispronounced.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ja'on Ja'ons. Okay.
Yep, yeah.
Oh, hey, you lucked out there, didn't you, bud?
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I love one of the things that this show does really well is deep cuts into the DC and like taking things and repurposing them in the same way that the best like Justice League Unlimited or Batman Animated would take the idea and fit it in a way that was like new but perfectly worked. Like the fact that Gem, son of Saturn, which is a character from the DC universe, is in here as Gem, son of Saturn, but they're all Martians because Saturn was his Martian name. Like that's a great little deep cut. I love that bit.
Yeah, I missed that completely.
So coming back on this, I had forgotten most of what had happened last season, but was really struck by the continuation of tone. Young Justice feels like it is permanently at the end of a second act.
Mm-hmm.
There's something like constantly just tragic that just happened, and all the time, and I don't know if it is that plus the weird Twin Peaks end credits music or what, but like the end of that first episode, I was already feeling like, and why do I feel like we're at the like down, like lowest point of some, like we just came back to a season. I thought we wrapped some shit up last season, but just like the previous season, I feel like this ended on a sad note and are still on a sad note.
Oh, yeah. I didn't feel that way. I thought like last season ended on a big win for them, and things were back to normal.
I thought last season ended on a big win too, but then we come back this time and it's the saddest wedding ever.
Well, I mean, it's all Mars, and Mars is all sorts of fucked up. And I also think that's a weird focus for the first 3 episodes to be on just these characters.
It is a little weird.
It's not just on it. We do jump back to Earth.
The Phantom Team is supposed to be, I think, Zatanna, Rocket, and I forget who else is on the team. Like, at least that they showed in the on the promos.
I fucking love that Rocket is in the credits. I love that so much.
That's pretty cool
because the milestone characters never get their due.
I just couldn't believe it. Like at the end of the first episode, after spending the whole time on Mars, we jump back and show someone from the team the previous season. Like we see Halo. Is it Halo?
Yeah.
And as like a stinger, like during the credits scene, we get one of the most brutal conversation. Like, I mean, like it's
real.
It ends with her. Like it ends with her saying like that she needs to look into whether Islam is real for her still, because she's not the same human that she's occupying.
I keep forgetting Violet's deal.
So dark. I mean, not dark, but just serious.
I was like, oh, right, that Violet is just a mother box that's borrowing this chick's dead body, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, and like, I don't know, at the end of that episode when I was already like, oh yeah, this show's got a weird bomb just went off bummer vibe for me. And then to have the end credits be that, I was like, Jesus God.
She even mentions that Islam doesn't mean anything to her, really.
Yeah.
But it's so ingrained into whatever psyche that was left over from the girl she took over that she can't take the hijab off. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting way to tackle a ingrained religion, like kind of like a literally ingrained rather than just through your family that's just grown up around it.
But they tackled it during the credits rolling.
Yeah.
But also it's like, it's one of those things of like, I realize why they did that, because they want to show some of the other characters during this weddings arc. Like they know that they're spending a lot of time on just a couple characters. So we're getting time with them. And I think there was one with Superman where he's talking with Lois on the phone, freaking out about his baby Mike being able to do heat vision. And I thought that was really funny. And at least they haven't done, they've only jumped a year, which is like pretty manageable, because every other season has jumped like 5 or like multiple years to where you have to play catch up onto who's on the team, a lot of shit has happened in between. And now I think they're confident that like, oh, okay, we're going to get more seasons so we don't have to jump story all the time.
Yeah, I feel like HBO Max has now taken full control of this show along with the other DC titles, because just like Titans, I am now bummed out by this show, but I'm going to have to keep watching because of comic Easter egg that I have to see on screen, the Legion. And I'm going to have to see the Legion fly around. Like I'm dying to see that. But
where's
at the same
fucking
time,
Bouncing Boy?
I did not enjoy this coming back, really.
Really?
It's a year later, and I feel like there's like characters not speaking to each other, and like
but they've been doing that.
Bummer.
They've been doing that since early on.
That's what I mean. Like it's never stopped. They've never come through it.
I think the mistake
they're all so fucking sad.
Is that they focused on the saddest storyline of the Martians, and it's a long time for 3 episodes to go with it.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
this guy goes for. I only watched the first one, and it was already like too long on March.
We don't have the rest of the team. We don't have any of the outsiders, which aren't the outsiders, the Teen Titans, goddammit, but whatever. And those are all where the kids are, the levity of it. And I do think I'm disappointed every time in Young Justice that we focus on the old team a lot, because the promise of the other seasons was we got to meet new characters and see what they were doing. And we've had a lot of seasons with Superboy and McGann. We've seen their character arc.
They probably do focus on them a bit much.
They their thing is solid. I know who they are. I know where they're at. Like, we could have skipped and had them be married, and I would have been no different. Like, for me, I would have been like, yeah, I got it. Because now we have like Violet, I think might be on the team, or what's no, damn it, Bluebird, or damn it, what's that chick with the blue hair? Damn it.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know. There's a million characters in the show. Here's the thing. I think at its best was season 2 when they did the Reach story and all that. And then I was really mad that they weren't coming back for a season 3. And then when they did come back for season 3, I did find it a little scattered and not exactly what I wanted. I do think it lost a step. What I was surprised by is when it came back for this 4th season, I kind of thought I was done. I was like, I like Young Justice, but I'm not enjoying it. But because of those lowered expectations, I think I like these 3 episodes better than you guys did. There was a lot of Easter eggs. I like the character stuff.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still heavily enjoyed it. I just feel like it's going to win me back in the other episodes. I feel like this 3-episode arc to start was kind of a weird take.
Yeah.
But I still think that the writing level of it is probably like at least some of the best that DC's doing right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say this. As much as I like Stargirl and as much as I like Doom Patrol, I would rather watch Young Justice because it feels more like the DC universe to me.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Doom Patrol.
It tickles me the same way Legends of Tomorrow kind of does. Of like we're not afraid to do the Legion and some of the weirder characters.
Yeah,
I just feel like you meet them all at like their parents' wake.
I did not. I don't know, Les. I did not. I was not that sad about it. Like, Jesus.
I don't know. I think it might. I think it might also be like seriously the like weird soap opera end credit music and shit.
Yeah.
But and I want to. Is Forger not speaking to someone? Like there was just a lot of like.
No, Forger was sad because Bioship was leaving, and he kind of liked Bioship.
Oh, okay. That we jumped a year and everybody still seemed.
And now he might get it on with Bioship's baby. I don't know.
Like it opens with like Superboy and McGann almost breaking up, and then because like, oh my god, how can you ever forgive me for being a monster and invading your mind? And like they have to move past that, and then like, well, you know what? I guess I have forgiven you. I still love you. Do you want to still get married? Okay, cool. Let's fly to. And like, oh god, we're going to the weirdest.
That was
wedding.
a scene that didn't need to be there because it's a reminder of what happened in the previous season. Because they both got over this in the previous season too.
So I think it worked to just drag me back to like, didn't we finish this? And then like, oh no, I guess we're just gonna. Okay, glad we reminded. I'm glad our worst fight just got brought up. Let's go.
Nick, last week you were bemoaning that we always agree on things, and this week we disagreed about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm about done with you. I mean, it's like Titans. I'm going to be watching it because of the fucking Legion.
I still feel like we liked this though, but like Les seems super down for whatever reason. Les, like, I feel like you just got to give it like you're having WandaVision flashbacks of like these first 3 episodes. Fuck these 3 episodes. Never gonna get me back, no matter what the next episodes do. But yeah, I am so glad to see the Legion. We never get to see those guys in live action or animation almost at all, so that's exciting to me. And they have all the greatest hero names in the fact that everyone's a lad and boy and girl. It's just fantastic. You just put a fucking noun in front of it and then boy or lad or kid after it, and you're good.
And like space fins on everything. I fucking love the Legion.
The Legion are awesome.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up our show for the week. Reminder that you can listen to us talk about the Muppets on Patreon this week if you go to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode. And thank you, Les. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Randy.
Long live the Legion!
Yeah, I was just whelmed.
Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to our listeners. I also was not overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I guess I was whelmed.
I don't know. I was digging the Aster.
And until next time,
Dude, I went Batman voice for some reason.
Batman.
Batman.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
to find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.